The 20th of June, Saturday morning, 2026. A brief reading from the Common Buddhist Text, Guidance and Insight from the Buddha. Chief editor of this compilation is Dr. Mahadhamma Kosajan. We are currently in Chapter 8 on wisdom from the perspective of the Mahayana tradition. Previously, we've covered the Theravada tradition. And moving forward, we're also going to cover the Vajrayana tradition. Picking up where we left off on the lack of a permanent essential self. Actions, but no essential self that beforms them. This passage emphasizes that there is no essential agent of action. Actions arise from interactions of mental processes. Although he sees no beings and no suffering, Sakya Muni takes away their suffering. Living beings are overjoyed and delighted that their discomfort would not increase. Properly understanding the inconceivable Dhamma of the Buddhas and having worshipped you, best of men, I enjoy the fruits obtained. Cultivate meditative calm and insight in order to relieve your sufferings. The impurities of the household life, which torments the world, are removed. Calm, concentration, insight, and even impurities are all empty. Understand inactivity and functioning. A chariot composed of different parts does not perceive anything, yet it functions together in unison. I have described action, but there is no one who acts anywhere in the 10 directions. Just as the movements of the wind does not put out a fire in the tree, although neither the wind nor the tree are conscious, and the fire is not put on, there is no one who performs an action. This is cited from the Prita Putra Samanagama as quoted in the Sikha Samuchaya of Santi Devi, chapter 14, translated from Sanskrit. Beings are unsubstantial like froth. This passage likens the nature of being to froth, a mirage or an echo, to show they lack a permanent substantial self. Mansusuri, a person on the path to the perfection of their paramis, should view all beings just like an illusionist views the illusionist of a man. A person on the path to the perfection of their paramis should view all living beings just like a wise man views the reflection of the moon in the water. A person on the path to the perfection of their paramis should see all living beings just like he views his face in a mirror. A person on the path to the perfection of his paramis should view all living beings just like water in a mirage. A person on the path to the perfection of his paramis should view all living beings just like that, the sound of an echo. A mountain made of the clouds in the sky, the first and last moments of froth, the rising and disappearance of a bubble in water, the core of a banana tree, a flash of lightning. This Manisusari is how a person on the path to the perfection of his parami should view all living beings. This is cited from the Vimala Kriti Nidesa Sutra, chapter 6, section 1, translated from Sanskrit. Beings beyond thoughts of I and mine. A true person on the perfection of their parami does not have a judgmental attitude towards people if they lack the perfections, but views all impartially and without I-centered thoughts. A person on the perfection of their paramis, great beings, do not think in terms of giving and receiving. They do not think in terms of ethical discipline and its bad conduct. They do not think in terms of patient acceptance and emotional agitation. They do not think in terms of vigor and laziness. They do not think in terms of meditation, absorption, and concentration and disturbance. They do not think in terms of wisdom and stupidity. They do not think I have been criticized. They do not think I have been praised. They do not think I have been honored. They do not think I have been dishonored. Why is this? It is because Sariputra, the unrisen, does not think I have been criticized. It does not think I have been praised. It does not think I have been honored. It does not think I have been dishonored. Why is this? It is because the perfection of wisdom completely uproots all thought. This is cited from the Pancha Vimsati Sahasarika Prana Parimita Sutra, page 89 to 90, translated from Sanskrit. Sickness at the delusion of egocentric beings. This passage has the Vimalakriti, feigning physical sickness, to signal his suffering in response to the I-centered delusions of beings. When both they and any sickness or suffering lacks any essence or permanent substantial existence. Manesuri said, "Good man, are you fading? Are you passing away? Are you suffering from the imbalance of the elements caused by an excess of wind? Is your sickness weakening rather than growing stronger?" The Blessed One inquires as to whether you are experiencing some slight pain, some slight affliction, some slight illness. If you are able to stand easily, if you are strong, happy, faultless, and comfortable. What is this cause of your sickness, householder? How long will your sickness last? What will it be? When will it be alleviated? Vimalakriti said, "Manasuri, this sickness of mine will last as long as ignorance and craving for existence lasts. My sickness will be pacified when all living beings are without sickness. Why is this the case?" Manisuri, for a person on the path of the perfection of their parami, the round of rebirth, samsara, is the presence of living beings. Sickness is dependent on the rounds of rebirth, samsara. A person on the path of the perfection of their paramis will be free from disease when all living beings are free from sickness. For example, Mana Jasuri, if a merchant's only son falls ill, his mother and her father will be ill too, as long as their only son has not recovered from his sickness. They too will suffer. In the same way, Mana Suri, a person on the path of the perfection, paramis, loves all living beings just like they were each his only son. He becomes ill because living beings are ill. When living beings are free from disease, he becomes free from disease. You ask me, Mani Jasuri, what is the cause of your sickness? A person on the path of the paramis, sickness is caused by great compassion. Mana Jasuri answered, how should a person on the path of their paramis address another person who is ill? Vimala Kriti answered, he should say that the body is impermanent, but not mention turning away or dispassion. He should say that the body is painful, but not praise nipita. He should say that the body has no essential self, and that living beings should be brought to maturity. He should say that the body is peaceful, but not all mention the ultimate peace. He should encourage him to confess all his negative actions, but not say that they are no longer have an effect. He should encourage him to use his own illness to develop compassion for other living beings who are suffering from illness. He should encourage him to recall the incalculable amount of pain he has experienced in previous existence. He should encourage him to recall everything he has done for living beings. He should speak to him of everything that he has led him to accumulate wholesome roots. He should speak of the primordial purity. He should speak of freedom from craving. He should speak from always making vigorous effort and encourage him to become the king of doctors and to cure all sickness. This is how a person on the path of the perfection of the paramis should address another person who is ill. Manisuri answered, "Son of a good family, how should a person on the path of the paramis who is ill understand his own mind?" Vimalakriti answered, "Manajasuri, a person who is ill should understand his own mind in this way. This sickness has arisen from previous mistaken actions and from the defilements of making assumptions which has no basis in reality. There is, in fact, no ultimately existing phenomenon which constitute this sickness. Why is this? Because it has emerged from the four great elements, and these elements have no owner. Indeed, this sickness arises through the non-existence of the essential self. The phenomenon which is referred to as sickness has no ultimate existence, but comes from the belief in an essential self. You should therefore not adhere to the ideal of an essential self, but dwell perceiving the root of sickness. He should give up any perception of the essential self, instead endeavor to perceive phenomenon. This body consists of phenomenon. It is only phenomenon which arise. It is only phenomenon which ceases. These phenomenon do not perceive each other. They are not aware of each other. When they arise, they do not think, I am arising. When they cease, they do not think, I am ceasing. This, Manajasuri, is how a person on the path of the perfection of their paramis who is ill should understand his own mind in order to get rid of his old age, sickness, and death. So, Manisuri, if a person on the path of the perfection of their parami does not attain awakening, all his efforts will be in vain, just as one who destroys his enemies is called a hero. A person on the path of the perfection of the paramis are called bodhisattvas because they have received the pain of old age, sickness, and death. The bodhisattva who is sick should examine things in the following way. Just as my sickness is not real, so too the sickness of all living beings is not real. If he examines things in this way, he will not fall into the view that it is possible to benefit living beings, but will cultivate great compassion for them. This is cited in the Vimalakriti Nidesa Sutra, Chapter 4, Sections 5 through 7, 10 through 11, 14 to 15, translated from Sanskrit. As we leave off there today on Chapter 9 on wisdom from the perspective of the Mahayana tradition, as we pick up on the next one on emptiness and inherent nature and inherent nature existence, the Heart Sutra on emptiness and the perfection of wisdom. This is a brief reading from a common Buddhist text, Guidance and Insight from the Buddha. Chief editor of this compilation is Dr. Mahadhamma Kosachan.